sorry, 3rd day of April, and we had some more snow. Perfect.
We're going to have rain. It was 91 yesterday. It's going to be about 86 today.
Oh, I saw on CBS last night major storm warnings for Texas. So be careful.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I got that news before you did because, you know.
Because I don't read the news.
No, because like we're 8 hours ahead or 7 hours ahead.
Yeah, you're in the future.
I gotta send you the lottery numbers. I always forget this. Yeah. Damn.
But until then, let's talk about web fonts that slow down your website.
Yeah, this is our 3rd tech talk. And so we're trying to come up with little things that you know, little people like us can do to help our websites. And one of those things is you know, our website's connecting with different services, Google Fonts, Font Awesome, you know, some Pinterest, Instagram, all these things. It can slow down our website, and it could also make them unsafe, or at least we have a connection to content that's not ours. So what we're going to do is we're going to show you how we can fix that.
Oh, that sounds like a plan to me.
Yeah, pretty cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen, which is something I hopefully can do without shutting down the whole talk. Here we are. Okay, good. So I have a little website here that I just put up. There's no real content in it, which is fine, because the purpose is just to check the fonts. So any theme that you have, for example, in WordPress, so any of the out-of-the-box WordPress themes, they don't include Google Fonts. Okay, so 2022, 2021, these themes that come with WordPress every year, they don't include the Google Fonts. Okay, so you need to include them yourself. You need to import them from Google, and Google allows you to do this. You know, if you go to Google Fonts and you find a font that you like, you know, you can let's see here. You can find a font you like. I've got Sunflowers, or what else could we do? Roboto, for example, and say I'd like to have Roboto on my website.
Yep, that's one of my fonts actually.
There you go. Yeah.
Roboto condensed.
Yep. So if you have a font, what you can do is you can link to it directly from Google, or you can import it into your style sheet. Okay. And then you'll have Google Fonts, and they're free, and it's great. So the problem is, though, what we don't see in the background is maybe a little bit of slowing down, and certainly a data protection problem.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that, GDPR issues.
Yeah.
Or Germany saying like this is not okay.
Well, if your website, well, it's the whole world now. I mean, if your website gets visitors from the European Union, you have to adhere to the law.
Yeah.
Or face some massive penalty. If you're not too sure, you know, where your website stands, you can just copy your domain name. Okay. And there are a lot of different tools. My favorite is this one in English, WebCol, DataSkid. Okay. You just put in your URL, your domain name. Okay. And it will check to see if you have any cookies, if you have any third-party media coming into your website, if your website is secure, any of these sorts of things. It's a free tool, pretty useful. So let's see about our website. Okay. So we don't have HTTPS, which is fine. I know this, just a test website, so it's just HTTP. We don't have the content security policy or the refer policy. It's fine, but we don't have any cookies, which is great. But we have 4 third-party requests.
Oh.
Okay. So now let's go down and see what those are, as if we didn't know. They're Google Fonts. Okay. So.
Oh, they're both for Google Fonts.
Yeah.
Fontsgstatic.com.
And this one, and they go to two different hosts, which
Okay.
means information is coming to your website from not just your own server, but from two other servers. And that might slow your website down a tiny fraction of a second.
Yeah.
But we also see the not secure. So this is unsecured data that's coming into your website.
Because
Again,
it doesn't have the HTTPS.
doesn't have the HTTPS. It has the
Aha.
little unlock lock there. So this isn't a cookie, but you would need to have in your data protection page, you would need to have something that says, hey, this website uses Google Fonts with a link to Google Fonts and an explanation of what that means. Okay. So, all right. Now we have this on our website, and I'm thinking we could get rid of this. All right.
Okay.
So Google Fonts, if we go to Google Fonts, they're free. We can use them. Okay. We can use them by linking to them here. You see, you can link directly from our style sheet.
Okay.
Or from the header of your website. Now,
what's the speed difference on that?
It's exactly the same as what we now have. Like it does, like our website loads them. It's in the header. So if I go to my here, see, I go to my code and you can see it's built into this theme. Many themes have it included. Okay. This theme is a basic theme called Accelerate. It's a good standard theme.
Okay.
But most of the themes now will allow you to import Google Fonts, and you can choose.
Yeah, I see it's using Google Fonts for the dash icons too.
Oh yeah, yep.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So this is something that we can change easily. Might speed up our website a little bit, makes us completely secure. So you don't have to worry about paying for Google Fonts. Okay, they're completely free. All right, and you can choose this way, but then that doesn't really make any difference. You're still importing them. But you see that there are two buttons here: download all, download family. You can download them, and and you can do that for free. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to test this. I'm going to download a font, and I'm going to replace it with the Google one with this other Google font. Now, most websites have a very standard type of font. Roboto is very common. Unisans, I think, another one. They're very common fonts, and if I replace them, we might not see the difference. So just for fun, I'm going to choose flowers. Send me flowers. There we go. Send flowers. When we change to this font, we're gonna notice it.
Okay, right.
So what I'd like to do is now there's a couple of things I can do. I can link this in my style sheet, okay, with the import, and then I can I don't want Roboto. I just want this one. Okay, all right, and I'm going to remove the Roboto one here. I don't want that. Okay, good. So I only want the send flowers.
Okay,
right?
okay.
So these two are important. One of these will go into your style sheet to say, hey, Google, hey, website, please bring me this Google font. And the other one is going to say to my style sheet, please use this font for the different styles. But I'm not going to import it from Google. I'm going to call it from my website, from my server.
Okay.
So the first thing I've done is I've downloaded this font. All right. Now I need to upload it to a place on my web server.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Where do you upload it?
So this is my web space for this particular website. Okay. I've got lots of different websites here. All right. Now this is specifically,
That's your hosting
this is my
company?
hosting. Yeah.
Okay, okay. I didn't know if it was like the WordPress media library.
No, this is going right to my host.
Okay, so don't put it in your media library.
No, I have to log in again. 1 second. It does not go to your media library.
Okay, okay.
No, no. Well, you know, you could.
But that would make it really bulky, right?
It's exactly the same thing, but I'd rather not upload it to my media library. So I'm just going to directly upload it into my content folder, which is pretty much exactly the same, but I want to create a different folder for fonts because there'll be many fonts. I'll have my font awesome, my emojis. I'm going to have a lot of things up here. Okay. So what I want to do is I'm going to find my web space. Okay, bear me with me for 1 moment. Here's all of our little websites up here. Here's today's website. All right. Now, for those of you who are familiar with WordPress, you will recognize the structure.
Yeah, that I recognize.
Yeah. So I'm going to go into WordPress content. Okay, and I created a new folder called fonts. Okay, if we put it into our media library, it's going to go here into uploads.
Right, you don't want it in uploads.
I don't want it in uploads. I'd like it here just because I'm a stickler, you know. So I'm uploading it into fonts here. Okay, and then I uploaded this font here. This is the Send Flower font that I downloaded. All right.
Okay.
So now I know that this font lives in my WordPress content, my font folder. So I can link to it in exactly the same way as I would link to a font in Google. I can link to this font.
Link to it in your style sheet.
In my style sheet, but then I'm
calling
But
not to Google, to your own.
To my own.
Okay, got it.
Okay, so we've uploaded the font, but we need to do something first. We saw here in our check that our website is calling up Google fonts.
Yeah.
We need to change that. We need to stop that.
Okay.
Okay. So depending on your theme, how your website calls fonts could be in one of a couple of different places. Now, if you go to your dashboard and your themes, there is a theme file editor. And when you click on that, you usually see your style sheet and you see the structure of your theme.
I didn't see what that is.
Okay,
theme file editor, is it always there?
It's always here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So the theme file editor is here. Now every theme has files, but where the theme calls the fonts up might not always be in the same place. Now logically, we're going to assume it's in the header. Okay, we scroll down here, you see
theme header.
But this theme, it doesn't have it in the header. The theme header in this theme calls up different parts of the header. Where this theme keeps it is, interestingly enough, in a folder called includes, INC for includes. And there are 2 files here, 2 PHP files. One of them is functions PHP, the other is header functions PHP. And really crazily enough, it's not in the header functions PHP, it's in the functions PHP. This is where I found it. So I'm going to click functions PHP, and I'm going to scroll down and see, where do you call up the Google fonts, Mr. Aha, you call them up right here. So what I'm going to do is I can comment these out if I want. Okay. So now they're commented out. Now I'm going to scroll down here and I'm going to save my file. All right. Now my theme cannot call fonts from Google. See, it's calling up fonts to Google. So now let me check something. Let's see if it's not calling them up anymore. I'm going to go back to this tool, okay, where it says it was calling them up, and I'm going to check again.
Okay.
Make sure. It's not calling them up anymore.
No third-party requests. Okay.
Okay, so that's really good. Now I want to check this as well. I did this earlier.
Okay.
While I was having my makeup done. This is the web dev tool. This measures our site speed, accessibility, etc. So I ran the speed of our site while it was calling up Google Fonts.
Okay.
And the speed was 76. Not bad, okay, for a site that has nothing in it. Now I'm going to run it again. Now it's no longer calling up Google Fonts. Let's see if our page loads faster because it doesn't have to call two different other hosts up. Let's see.
Oh, it is faster, a lot faster by almost 10 points.
83.
So what does our website look like without those Google Fonts? Like, how does it do the fonts? Is it dependent on your browser now?
Okay, yeah. I mean, what all sites will do, see, it goes back to default Arial Helvetica Garamond. Okay. Now, if you're using like a vanilla font, like Roboto, like these fonts, they all pretty much look the same.
Yeah.
So if that's really not important to you, hey, you've saved speed and data, and no one's going to go, oh, that font doesn't look like Roboto 679. No one will really know. Now, everyone loves fonts. I have specific, desires for my fonts, and I don't want to just drop them. But this is also good to see that, okay, if I lose connection to my Google Fonts, what will that look like?
And it doesn't break the website.
It doesn't break the website, but think about it. Think that you have that this font is a make or break, a deal breaker. If that font doesn't load, your website's going to look horrible. So that's actually a kind of a good reason on top of speed and security to download the font. Then if Google goes off the air, if the connection goes off, your website still doesn't look hot.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we've checked a couple of things and we see at the moment everything's going good. So what do we need to do? We need to call up this font that we downloaded, that we put into our folder. Okay, we need to call it into our website. Now here is the only tiny itsy bitsy thing that we have to do when we code. Okay, but the information that we need is given to us here with the link.
Okay.
We basically just need to copy this and then add it to our customizer. Now, for those of you watching the video or reading the post, you will see below that it's there. You can copy it and just change it out to the name of your font. All right, at no additional charge, because there is no charge here. Now, I put this in while I was doing my wardrobe. I commented out what I put in. Those two things are important. The first thing is this part. This tells the website, hey, we have a font face. The font family, this is the Send Flowers. That's the name of the font that we have. Okay. It's a normal style. Where do we find this? Well, we find it in the WordPress book. We find it in the WordPress content in the fonts, and there is the name of the font. And we also said, hey, the body, paragraph, H1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 should have this font. Now we can change this. Maybe we have a second font that we use for our headings, okay? But then we would change this. But at the moment,
like this is a good heading font.
Yeah. So see, now look, hey, there's our font.
Oh.
And this font comes from our server.
Right.
Now I'm going to publish this. And we're going to do two more checks. First, Now, the font comes from my server. Let's double check our security again. Make sure it didn't sneak in there from Google.
Yeah, no third parties.
No third
Still
party.
0. Okay.
Okay, so security is clean. Now let's measure the speed of our website. Okay, now it could be a little slower because previously we were importing no fonts. We
Right.
used the browser default. Now we are importing a font, but it's from our server, but the website still has to do something. Okay, this is not going to be right. Let me do it again.
Yeah, it shouldn't be below 84.
No,
right?
no. Like sometimes the web dev.
I mean, it shouldn't be below 76, which is what it was when it was asking Google.
Exactly. It changes all the time. It's not going to be 69 either. Please hold for station identification.
So,
Yes,
I mean,
please.
So you changed the functions PHP, and then you added CSS in the customizer.
I did.
Okay,
yes.
So what happens when this theme has an update?
Well, that we will be talking about in the next Tech Talk. How do we upload a child theme? Okay, it's still not running, but it's definitely, I checked this before, it's definitely higher than 62. It was actually in the 80s when I did this before. Very strange. Anyway, yes, this is a really good point. Now, there's two things. This is in our customizer. Now, the customizer is if you're doing minor style sheet changes, this is where you put them. Because when themes are uploaded, are actualized, updated, thank you, this doesn't get touched.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah,
The additional
customizer,
CSS?
very, very important. Yeah,
So,
customizer, all of these things, whatever you do here, are not affected when the theme changes.
But in new WordPress, in WordPress newer versions are going to be eliminating the customizer.
I'm sure they are. And the week after next, we're going to be talking about Classic Press, which is a great alternative to WordPress for those of you who are fed up with things getting really silly.
Yeah.
But what you can do.
So stay tuned to this channel.
Yeah, stay tuned for all of this.
Subscribe to this YouTube to find out
how to beat WordPress. There are other ways to do this. You know, if you've got a minor change like that, and you're sticking with the font with the accelerate, you can do a couple of hacks. Now I'm going to show you one hack which you should never do unless you're on this show. If you've made a minor,
do not try this at home.
Don't try this at home under no circumstances.
It's a professional driver on a closed course.
That's right. It's completely closed. This office is closed. If you've made a minor change to your theme and you're not going to remember to update it every time this theme updates, you can go into here and you can disable communication to the mothership.
Oh.
Themes are updated when the theme server pings all those themes out there and says, what version are you?
Yeah.
And then this will say, I'm version 1.50. They go, oh, we now have version 1.5.1. You need to be updated. And that's when you get those update notices.
Oh.
If you don't want to update it, change this to some number where it's probably never going to go to, and then save it. Then you'll never get that update notice until it gets to version 1.9.1. I say don't do this at home because what you risk by this is that its updates to themes are sensible because there might be security patches and things. So you don't want to do this for an extended time.
Or you could just copy that part that you put in that and it's like in some local like code snippet editor, like a little GitHub repository or something, or a text file. So you don't, so the next time it updates, you're like, oh shit, my themes aren't there. I mean, my fonts aren't there. Oh yeah, I gotta go grab this.
Exactly.
Back in there.
And all we did is we didn't add anything.
Oh, you just commented it out
We just,
anyway.
so if and when this theme updates, you have this on your little bulletin board to do,
Yeah.
Go back in, comment it out.
Yeah. So that's not even that big of a deal.
It's not a big deal. I've seen bigger deals.
Yeah.
So this is a really quick win, and it's great. It saves you time. It saves you problems if there's a disconnect. It saves you security. It gives you security, and it lets you play around. So you too can be a badass coder and get into the back end.
Yeah, because like my fonts are display Playfair display, Playfair display, and Roboto condensed.
Okay, yeah, you could download those.
Yeah,
there's only 2 fonts. That's great. That's easy. I could do it for you. I have very cheap rates. I do them for free, actually.
Yeah, that's and then you can stay with your own brand standards.
Yeah. But it's also good to see, I think, by turning those, just commenting those off for a while, take a look and see what your website's going to look like in the event of a font meltdown. Might give you peace of mind. It might be a wake-up call to go, oh my God, wow. While we're on that subject, as last takeaway, because of what our website does when it can't connect to things, this is also the reason that you must all the time have 2 themes. You have the theme that's active, and then you have your backup theme, because if something goes wrong with your first theme, WordPress by default will activate the backup theme. If you only have 1 theme there, your website is going to look weird. Okay? It never happened. Okay, it's happened once that I know of, but normally it doesn't happen. Like once out of like 350 websites in 20 years. That's kind of like my lottery winning record. That's really not going to happen, but it's good to know. It's good to check.
I love the website that Rhonda designed for me, and and does it. It's beautiful. But there are many times when the minimalist in me, which I guess the older I'm getting, the more minimal I'm becoming. Minimalistic.
It happens. Yeah, I'm very minimalistic.
And I just wonder if just some static HTML site, as you say, HTML, or just plain, like here are the words. There's no images. You don't need to know what I look like. There are many days where I just wish it was faster and less beautiful and less complicated. Because even when I know this is like something I'm dealing with in therapy, but when I want to do a different page or something, then I feel kind of guilty asking Rhonda to fix it for me, or if I want to reorder elements on my site. And like, I'm reading this book called The 7-Figure Agency Roadmap by Josh Nelson.
Okay.
And just to remind myself of like service-based industries and stuff, or Launch with Words. And he talks about having a landing page for each one of your services. So you do metal roofing, you do cedar shingles. I don't have that. I don't have a landing page just for Twitter. I don't have a landing page just for copywriting. I have my a la carte menu, and that's it. And that's not even best practices, because I've handed you to death for having one for SEO and one for writing and one for all this other stuff. And I realized, wait, I don't. Mine's all like just that. And like every time, because I'm a marketer, I used to make a lot of landing pages, but then when we update my theme, like when we rebranded, that was a lot of pages for Rhonda to fix.
Yeah.
That are just there for SEO, or for on the off chance that somebody's going to find it.
Okay.
Not something I normally share on social. So it just makes me wonder, like, what is that? I think from a strategic standpoint, it would be a good conversation. Like, what's the cost benefit analysis of pure speed and losing all of those design elements?
Yeah.
There's got to be
There's
something
this
like,
there's a lot of talk on Twitter. There's people who are doing really simple, easy to use HTML templates where it's just HTML and a very small style sheet, and it serves the purpose. If that's what you're doing, people can find you. It loads immediately, and what else do you want? Of course, there's the question of of page time. It's like, oh, the cooler stuff, the more that you have to look at. A lot of websites are the experience as well, and well, they stay longer. Though, I mean, look at Medium and websites like that. It's just text, and people read. So yeah, I like your website.
I love my website, don't
Yeah,
get me wrong, but
yeah.
like, I kind of wonder, should I just do a Twitter services page and just make it super plain HTML and not even bother with Beaver Builder? And that's the other thing, is like, my site speed is my site diagnosis is terrible. And then on top of that,
So is
I have
mine.
easy digital downloads for all of my products, for
Yeah.
all of the Launch with Words and my content planner and my ebook. And the thing is that those download pages, that's their custom post type.
Yeah.
You're not using a page builder with that. They look like crap in comparison anyway. It's short codes for the buy now button and all kinds. It's not even Gutenberg. It's like, my whole site is like, my blogs are in Gutenberg. I just copy and paste from Google Docs and everything like that. And it just makes me wonder, it's just something to think about when, is your audience more mobile centric or more desktop centric? My
Sure.
target audience has always been desktop centric. So I haven't worried about the mobile because my mobile experience is frankly terrible.
Have you looked at your analytics for how many visitors are coming from
Oh
mobile?
yeah, it's like 75% desktop.
Really? Oh, interesting.
Yeah, because I have WordPress developers as clients.
Okay. All right.
So
Yeah.
they have more monitors than I do. I just have a 13-inch MacBook Pro from 2015. There's
I've
no
got like
other
50,
monitors.
50, but what I find always very interesting is that when you measure the site speed and it says this is in red and it takes 16.3 seconds to load, but then you try it on your own mobile devices, and I have half a dozen, and on none of my mobile devices does it take 16 seconds. I mean, it all comes up immediately on whatever generation mobile device I have. I'm thinking, so what is the reality of the loading speed and what is the measurement of the loading speed? That always, because people use our websites,
right?
And we do a lot of analytics. We do a lot of web controlling, but have you ever had anyone, when they do contact you, go, hi, yeah, I'm interested in having your service, but your website, it just loads so slowly. I've never heard this from anyone.
No, but I guess the question is, would you, or would they just bounce because they're like that now they're no longer interested?
This is true. They might not be contacting you because the website loaded so slowly. It's hard to say. I think it really depends. But
because I think a marketing person that doesn't have good branding, would you trust that person?
Yeah, probably not.
No.
Unless they thought you were being ironic. That's how I got into this industry. I just built a website how I thought you built a website in 1998 and applied to an agency, and they hired me because they thought I was a genius. They said, only a genius would code like this because it's complete dumpster fire. It's ironic coding.
Yeah.
I'm still best friends with the guy who hired me. It's just like, I'm an ironic coder.
Yeah, it's just I just thought it would be something to talk about. Just, we're doing these API calls and everything like that. And this is a good way is to kind of compromise. Let's keep your branding. Let's keep those fonts. And instead of asking Google or Font Awesome, and especially with dash icons, this would be the same thing,
Or
right?
Font Awesome is also a culprit.
Right. So Font Awesome. And so
It's the same thing,
if
yeah.
we're calling them, like I have a lot of web fonts, I'm sorry, dash icons
Yeah.
on my site. So if we were, I don't know how Rhonda has it set up, but if we were asking Font Awesome, then we would have to do the same thing as download that certain set and
Yeah.
then only keep the ones that we actually use.
Yes,
Or
because
keep
you
the
don't.
whole
Well,
set.
you could have the whole set. It's only gonna call up what you need. You know, it's not calling up the entire library and
Okay.
go from there.
Yeah.
So yeah, your website, you're getting excuse me, you are getting your fonts from Google, and you are getting them from Cloudflare,
Right.
and you are getting them from plugins.
Oh.
Now, the plugins are okay because the plugins call them up from a font folder in the plugin folder. So Font Awesome on your website it was loaded with the plugin.
Oh, probably Beaver Builder. That makes sense.
So it exists on your server.
Okay, okay. So they already did that best practice.
Yeah, foundation icons are being called from a CDN.
Aha.
And your Google fonts are coming from Google. So that's like, you've got, if you think I have fonts, they are coming from 5 different places, and you can go, okay, well,
that's a lot of calls. That's a lot of API calls, right?
It is,
but a CDN, isn't that still a third party?
Of course it is. Yep. Cloudflare, it's not your website.
Right, and that's another like strategic thing is like that using a CDN is a great way for your web speed to put all your images somewhere else, and a lot of web hosts do this for you, especially if you have managed WordPress hosting.
Of course, so
that would be a third party.
Of course. Oh yeah, I've seen websites with 230 third party things coming out. Massive and hundreds of cookies. I mean, this is not abnormal. It's not good, but it's not.
So headless WordPress, that's all it is a bunch of API calls.
Basically, yeah. I mean,
Jamstack
it can be. It depends. Once you've got like 16 plugins and Elementor and your base theme and everything else, and your website gets really heavy.
So that's when they call it bloated.
Well, probably before then, but yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's ways to do this. There's 2 sides to every cookie.
Yeah.
So there are benefits to having a CDN, many benefits, but then there can also be drawbacks. And in the funny little world that we are moving into with ownership and data protection, and I don't know what else, sometimes there really are days that I look at my HTML pages with inline style, and I think, so easy.
I mean, in many ways, static is privacy. It's better for privacy.
Yeah,
and
yeah, it's static, and it's so easy, and it's fun. It's fun. Static is fun. No one has any enjoyment other than, okay, some people do. Most people don't get any enjoyment out of getting into a huge website and coding. But just doing static HTML, it's just, it's so fun. It's fun. Now, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of people who have, a lot of fun with massive, crazy codes and connections, and respect. I'm just not one of them.
Well, thank you to the listeners who came to the very end of this.
That's right.
But I figured these questions might be some of the questions that you're asking. So thank you for watching this. If you got this far and you don't know what I'm talking about, rewind the last 10 minutes.
That's right.
It's really important strategic discussion about branding, best practices with CDN and dealing with images, which is also third party. And of course, your fonts. Again, a great tech talk from one marketing person to another.
And to Bridget. Yeah.
And I'm going to say adios from San Antonio.
Adios from Bremen. We'll see you guys in 2 weeks because you and I are both on vacation. We are both going to the water.
I am going to collect sunburns on a
Oh,
cruise.
I'm going to the North German coast where it's probably going to be snowing for 2 weeks.
I'm only going for 5 days. That's
Ciao.
enough sunburns. Bye.